Ready? You ready? Do you want to try? Hello, and welcome back to the Once Upon a Corgi podcast. Welcome back, any returning viewers. Hello to all new viewers. This is only episode 3, so you're not that far behind. Don't worry. What? Do you have a greeting too? My name is Gabby, and you can find me everywhere as Gabbigales, Ravelry, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. This is a nitty, sewy, crafty puppy podcast. We are joined again by, this is Audrey Beyonce Hepburn, my first corgi, and her son, Iron Jonathan Snow, is sitting below the table, so if you hear growling, that's him, because he's jealous she's not on the chair. So she'll be joining us for a little bit today, mostly because there's cookies behind the laptop. Yes, there is. You just love this. So yeah, this is like I said, nitty sewy crafty thing. So we'll have some finished objects, works in progress, stash building. And I did plan on having a better puppy section today, but I did not do what I wanted to. So I will explain that later on. I just want to start by a giant thank you to everybody who's reached out and commented on everything. Hello and thank you. They were such kind words. So there were so many people that just popped messages or comments. So thank you. And we're gonna keep this a secret. Hey, shh, shh, shh. I know. Secrets are awful. We're gonna keep it a secret, and then we planned like once about doing a crazy, super fun, see if you can notice thing, but somebody called us out that Adrian from the Freakish Lemon podcast is indeed my brother. So, surprise! I was hoping that maybe we could do a holiday podcast, but in the same house, and see if you guys could like catch on to the stuff in the background, but 2 episodes in, somebody called us out. So yeah, Adrian is my older brother. He got me back into knitting during college, and then has sort of instigated spinning and other things. So thank you. And hello, go check out his podcast. He should have an episode up soon. He usually does one around the 15th of each month. Sorry, Audrey's shedding, so I keep pulling all her butt fluffs off. So yeah, go check him out. You're so sheddy. I have to stop. All right, we're gonna have some tea. We have a raspberry tea because this mug is only for pink teas. Because I'm a princess sometimes. I think that was yes. Oh, also, I got a comment on my wallpaper from Jeanette from the Bookish Stitcher podcast, and I just wanted to let everybody know it's fabric. It's the heavy-duty home decor fabric from Joann's, and then I slathered liquid starch onto it, and then that's how it stays on the wall, and it comes off super easy. You just peel it off and then wash the wall off with a little soup and water. I know from experience because the bottom panel was pulled off by the puppies when they were old enough to reach above the baseboard. So it does rip off very clean, but we rent, so we couldn't paint or do anything. So I found that on Pinterest. So yeah, it's just fabric, I got paint rollers and just rollered on starch. So once we move, we'll just peel it off, wash the wall. While we're here, it looks so fancy and clean. So yeah, I guess on to the knitting, since that's what most of you are probably here for. Finished objects. My basket's farther away than usual. I have the finished bartender socks, blocked and dried, and I just have to snip the ends and ready to go. They were plain vanilla sock pattern on size 1 needles. I'm also going to try and remember to tell you what needles I'm using. because I didn't do that last time. I think I was just too caffeinated. So, what is it? Yeah, this is on my Winter Storm, on my fig base. Started naming my bases, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. So there's a little bit of sparkle. They're not terribly sparkly, but. And I just did plain vanilla sock with a fish lips cassile and the star toe. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe. So they're done. They're going to get wrapped up and sent off to the bartender for his wife for Christmas. And then my next vintage object was never a work in progress because I started it the day I recorded last and then finished it the next day. Let's see if I can put this on. It's a bobble hat! I'm going to wear this for the rest of the podcast now. I love it! I wanted one, and I ordered the yarn when I bought all my Christmas yarn, and then I sat down because I didn't want a Christmas knit anymore, and I started it, and I finished it, and I love it. It's so nice. I've worn it every day, essentially, even though it's been like 64 degrees all week, and all last week, and the rest of this week. But I love it. It's my first pom-pom. I got a pom-pom maker from Michael's on Black Friday. I actually went out. It's not attached that well, but I'm not that mad. I love it. I have the plans to knit another one for my friend for Christmas. Now that my hair is all crazy. So we're going to pause there and fix my hair before it explodes. Excuse me. Alright, we're good. So, it's my first Fair Isle knit, and I played around a little bit with carrying the yarn. I wasn't sure if there was like a real way to do it, and I didn't feel like YouTubing it because I was also watching West Wing all Black Friday. So some of it looks pretty neat, and then some of it does not look very neat. But I think I'm gonna go with what I did down here, because that looks the nicest, and that was the easiest to do. So, I have plans for one more. I just have to pick up the bottom color. I think I'm going to do it in a green for my friend for maybe Christmas, but probably not Christmas, because I don't think I have time. So, those are my two finished objects, and this was on US 7 for the main part, and US size 6 double points, the Knit Picks nickel plated double points. So those are my two finished objects. Works in progress. I have a couple written down, but two of them are a lie because I didn't start them yet. So we're gonna ignore those. This one should have been a finished object, and I'm a little mad at myself for it not being one, because I dilly-dallied on the train. But we have my Verdue shawl by Isabel from the Fluffy Fibers. It is on my Dark Like My Soul colorway on my fig base, and I'm knitting it on size US 6 needles. Yes, US size 6 needles. And it is so close. This is how much I have left. That's it. That's it. I should have finished that on the train. But it's almost there. I'm so happy with it. And if you've noticed all my fun little stringies here, I was maybe 2 or 3 repeats in last time I showed you. And about 2 or 3 repeats later, I got cocky, and the little Han Solo in my head was not listened to, and I decided, you know what, I can totally watch Gotham and knit lace. Right? Wrong. So wrong. So wrong. So, oh god. I ended up having to rip everything out and start over on the lace border. Almost lost a couple stitches in the body. So I put a lifeline in, which is actually falling out as we speak. So put a lifeline in. The main part, like Jenny from the Tiny Paper Foxes podcast. So we have the one lifeline, the major lifeline, and then I put in one. You can see where I got confident because they start getting less and less, and then they get more and more. I put one in every 2 pattern repeats, got confident, skipped a couple, messed up, put it in every repeat. So all of the lifelines, they have been my savior because I've had to rip this back just because I'm not paying attention, so many times. Guys, the cat and the dog are wrestling in the kitchen on a paper bag. So, heavy painting, that's a dog. So yeah, I'm almost done. I need this done and blocked by Friday. So I will absolutely get that done. I'll probably finish it after I record tonight. So I'm so happy with it. I can't wait to wear it. I can't wait to knit Isabel's other shawl, the Bonbon shawl. I love it. And this is just in a prototype bag I made a little while ago. It's frayed and gross, but it's pretty. Our next work in progress is my dog park socks, which have been fully restored now that the majority of the Christmas knitting is done. So they've joined the scheduled rotation again for knitting. And since you last saw it, they were just a leg. But now we have a turned heel, fish lips kiss heel, and we started on the foot. And they're on a size 1, I believe, Knitter's Pride Dreams DPNs. I'm not mad about them. Bamboo, I knit super tight on, but the wood ones seem pretty loose and don't make my gauge go crazy. But I do want to try the double point carbons really bad. I'm thinking about just buying the interchangeable US size 4 since I have to replace mine anyway. But pretty standard. It's blueberry waffle sock pattern in Lamb's Pride Superwash. Lamb's Pride Superwash and their oyster shell colorway. I feel like I keep going through these so quickly, and I have my little skull stitch marker that I got from Adrian. He's so indifferent to life. He's one of my favorite. Yes, Pumpkin. I know, you just want another cookie. So we have those 2. I already have the one done. So I'm hoping I can get this other one done. Oh, I forgot to grab that thing. Damn. Poop. Oh well. Yeah, I have my memory blanket written down, but I've only put in 1 square since I last recorded, so there's really no sense in showing you one. It's an opal. I don't know the colorway name. So there you go. And then the next one is a project I haven't started because I'm mad at it. So, okay, now to the part that really this whole thing is based off of. I feel like you might have heard of this. Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes has suffered from this. Andy from the Andre Sue Knits podcast has suffered from this a little bit. Eric from the Sticks and Twine podcast has suffered from this. And now I have to prepare. Now I have suffered from the wool piggery. And the stress buying. This is a combination of stress buying and wool piggery. So, Wool was having a sale on their Legacy DK base. And I'm just perusing, and it's fine and dandy. Maybe I'll pick up a couple skeins. How bad could it be? So I'm looking, and I'm sitting next to Jake, and we're watching Supergirl, and he starts mentioning how he wants a sweater for Christmas, and I told him, fat chance. So he sits down with me, and we start looking at patterns, and we pick out a nice cabled cardigan for him. So then we start looking at yarn colors. We pick out a yarn color, and I tell him we can go to the yarn store. I'm sorry for the crinkling. We can look at the yarns for him. Next thing I know, I'm online and I'm trying to schedule my GRE test because I am trying to go back to school for a master's. Oh, that's not yarn. So I'm scheduling the yarn test, not the yarn test, the GRE test. And then I pay for that, and I just stare at the account and go, oh dear Lord, how much money am I spending on this test to go to school to spend more money? So then I'm just perusing and watching Supergirl. And I figure, you know what, I'll take a look at the oval again. I mean, they probably don't have that much left because it is a great deal. And a lot of the neutral colors I figured would be gone by the time I actually get to it. So I figure maybe I'll pick up a couple for like some socks or some hats. So I start putting stuff in the cart. I start looking at recipes. I start looking at the pattern amount that I need. I measure Jake. And then the next thing I know, I'm sitting on the couch with a giant, I don't even, cart, and I hit pay, and I buy 32 skeins of wool. The wool piggery has hit hard. Jake's sweater called for 22 skeins. No, 20? 20 or 22. I bought 20, so if it's too small. And then I bought 12 skeins of yarn for myself for a sweater, which now just seems like an awful lot of yarn for a sweater my size, but whatever. So yes, the wool piggery has attacked. But my friends, it does not end there. I will get to that in a second. So what we have is 20 skeins of Owl's Black Bear. And I know it's going to be awful because my lighting's terrible today. Because I tried to record during the day yesterday. The dogs went nuts every time I said the word puppy. And then we had to leave to go to our friend's house to watch a football game. So I missed my chance. Daylight is slim here. So I have 20 skeins of the Black Bear, which is sort of a dark brownish gray, black, brown black almost. And I don't have the cardigan name off the top of my head, but I will put it in the show notes that he will be getting eventually. So I was going to do, see if I can put these away now. Eric. Oh, I'm sorry for the crinkling. Eric from the Sticks and Twine podcast, who is only 3 episodes in and absolutely fabulous at it. You should definitely check him out. He's based out of Toronto, and he's a fairly new knitter and doing fantastic. Definitely embracing the wool piggery. But yeah, you should check him out. I definitely love seeing the input of more male knitters because most of us do knit for ourselves, but I do want to knit for Jake. I don't know what to knit him because all of my queue is shawls or granny squares, and there's only so many socks I can knit him. So he was going to do a cowl for the new year of either menswear or men's accessories or dreamwear or something. So I told him we should definitely do a menswear one because Jake wants this sweater. And this would be the perfect thing to cast on for the new year. Just get it out of the way, get him a sweater, and then that'll probably give him a year to stop asking. But I believe men's accessories one, which is perfect because the requirements are for 2 accessories. And I do have a pair of socks started for Jake, the Hulk socks, if you recall from the first episode. And I'm going to rip them all out and start over because I don't like them. they're too big, the toe is too pointy. So the plan with that is to do a provisional cast on in the round and start at, say this is his foot and this is the toes, start it down here where I would change color for the toes and then knit up, do the heel in the separate color, do the leg, do the cuff, and then go back and do the toe. That way, as I'm knitting the foot, I can get the foot measurement absolutely correct and get the heel and the toe in the right place so they're not too big, they're not too long, they fit over his ankles, over his heel, and then the second sock I can just knit regular and have a recipe for his feet because these ones are huge on his foot but decent around his toes, but the the cast on was too little, so they've got like, he's got like stiletto socks. It's awful. It's terrible. So that's the plan with that. So that Cal will give me a chance to knit his socks, and I have yarn for a scarf for him. So I think I'm gonna do like a long infinity scarf so he can wrap it around and do that weird, like wrap it around his neck like a regular scarf, or he can loop it around like a cowl, depending on the weather, because he gets hot really easily. So I'll give him options. So that's that. And then we have mine. And I got Lake Erie color. And my plan is to do the little brown cardigan by Owool in this, because I do have an outfit in mind of, I want to do this as a cardigan and then do a dark teal skirt and probably pair it with a black top or like a light colored blouse kind of thing. And then when I'm not wearing the cardigan, pair the skirt with a knit top when I make one. So yeah, this was my wool piggery part 1. And looking at this, what smells good? This seems like a lot for a cardigan for me, but it's a DK weight, so I don't know. I've never knit a cardigan before. Yeah. Yep. I was talking to Jenny on Instagram, and we were both saying how we got wool hauls. She got some for her birthday. And now I feel like I might have gone a little overboard. Sorry. So that's wool piggery part 1. Part 2, there is a spinnery in Portland, Connecticut that you can send your fleeces off to and they'll clean it, or they'll clean it and wash it, or they'll clean it, wash it, and card it, or they'll clean, wash, card, and spin it for you. And they also just sell roving or already spun yarn, but it only comes in worsted weights, which isn't that bad. I might pick some up one day. And I've been trying to be more conscious about where I buy my everything. I do most of my grocery shopping at a farmer's market. I try to keep to small local businesses with what I can. I will admit I love Target, so that happens a lot. But there isn't one around, so not that often. But they sell roving there. And I was watching Isabel from the Fluffy Fibers podcast, and she was commenting how she's trying to only buy yarn and stuff that's local to her. And I was watching the Andre Sue Knits podcast with Andy, and she did a little tutorial on how to make rolags. And I thought, I don't have a blending board, nor have I ever spun rolags, so I'm gonna make rolags. So this isn't even all of it. Sorry for the crinkling. I bought 3 8-ounce bats of fiber. One of them is already split into 1-ounce bundles to be dyed. So the plan is to take I got 2 white and 1 natural black, so I'm excited for that. Split these up and then probably leave half of this as neutral and then split the other 4 ounces up and then dye them all different colors. And then Adrian has a blending board that has agreed to let me make rolags on it if for one set of Rolags as price. And I'm up there every weekend anyway, so might as well. So yeah, this is the wool piggery at its finest. I went a little crazy. But this was very decently priced. It was $8? $12 for 8 ounces of 100% wool roving from Connecticut. So it's very local, probably about an hour and a half away from here. And they have natural black, natural white, natural brown, and natural red. And they also have it available in alpaca, or an alpaca wool blend. It's called the Twist of Fate Spinnery in Portland, Connecticut. And I'll put a link in the show notes if that's not the correct name. But I know Twist, Fate, and Spinnery are in the name. So yeah, that's my wool piggery. Yep. This is what I've done. Oh dear. I'm not that mad. I'm only a little bit mad because now my yarn doesn't fit on my shelf. So I have to figure out a new way to store it. So that's my major wool piggery. My other acquirements were I joined a fiber club, and I haven't shown any of these on the podcast because I didn't want them. They were still so close to the shipping date. I wasn't sure if anybody got the club too, but I did the Sarah's Textured Craft Fiber Club. So this was the November. Sure. Yes. The November colorway. And the whole club was based off French Impressionists, which I love. So I had to. I just love the colors that they have. And I got 2. This is the third and final one, and it's got hair on it because somebody opened the plastic and started drafting it for me. And that somebody's name is Iron. So it's fuzzy and covered in dog hair already. But it's a Shetland and Seashell? Mix in the Le Soleil colorway, which is a painting of Vincent van Gogh, which I should have known just by looking at it. And I'm super excited. Oh, it's 2 braids. Oh, even better. So we have the blue. And it's got, looks like little bits of silk that are undyed, and some greens, and then the yellows, and oh, it's so pretty. I'm excited to get this on something. I have a bunch of fiber now, and I only have 2 spindles. So we're probably going to have to add some spindles to our shopping lists. Yes, so that's that. Is that the last of the wool piggery? Oh no, I have a couple more. I'm just name dropping forever today. The last bit, which I should have taken out of these little bags, I was watching the Spicy Homemaker podcast last week, as you do, and Melissa was commenting about how everybody's doing these mini advent calendars. And I completely missed the memo on that one as well. And I saw Danny from Little Vomits Knits has one. Andy from the Andre Sue Knits podcast has one. Just name dropping everywhere. And can't remember anyone's name still. So I sent her a message and was just like, hey, that is a great idea that I missed on as well. Let's make our own. So we did. I have a bunch of minis. She had a bunch of minis. So we made our own little advent things and sent them to each other. I'm not going to show everything that we sent, but I will show the minis. Because I don't think I'm going to be able to finish the projects I want them for by the next podcast. but I want the idea to be out there, so then I'm committed to it because the internet. So I opened the first 3 weeks, since this is the 3rd week of December, and we just did the 4 weeks, and then I did Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So we have Lark's Head was week number 1. It's got the pinks and these grays and some fuchsias and lavenders and mauve, maybe? Looks like it. And a little bit of speckles. And then we have Cat's Kettle Ox Sock in this bright teal, and it's so blown out on the screen. It's more of a green, like a seafoam green, but turquoise, sort of like... It kind of reminds me of like the Caribbean Ocean pictures. I've never been, so I don't know what it actually looks like. But that's what it reminds me of. And then she sent me, is it the Zia? Zia wools. And this pinks and purples. And she was saying how Zia Wools is like her Buffalo Wool Company to me. And I completely agree. This is fabulous and soft. So the plan for these is I found a tiny little sweater pattern. So I'm going to knit them into tiny little sweaters to hang on my Christmas tree instead of just putting them in my blanket, just because they were a little bit extra special. So yay! Thank you, Melissa. I love them, and they're super soft. And the dog is fighting the cat again. So that's it for acquisitions. Acquisitions. Stash building, that's what we're calling it. Is it? Yes. Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm not petting you. This probably should have been on the list first. Yes, I know. But sewing. So I forgot to mention it again. The Verdue shawl is part of my Make Two Along with the Tiny Paper Foxes podcast. And it is also part of the Sparkle knit along that Jeanette from the Bookish Stitcher is doing, as are the bartender socks. So any yarn or fiber that is sparkly, yes. I forget when it ends. I'll put a link in the show notes to the project page for it. So for my other Make Two Along, I'm sewing a dress. And we have made a decent amount of progress. I'm just going to make Audrey really mad and put this on her. So I sewed the bodice together. I still have to put some darts in and bring the back in a little bit. I think I'm going to stitch rip the sides off and redo it because I had to take so much in already that I think I'm going to redo it and then take in more in the back than on the sides. And I ripped the interfacing out. I left the lining in, so I still have the lining, but the interfacing made it just too boxy. So that's that. Progress. I need the dress by Friday, so hopefully I can not rip out too much. And then I started setting up the pleats in the skirt. Ooh, you're sitting on it, broken. So I'm test pleating. I think if I make the pleats longer, it'll look better. The lighting is absolutely atrocious, and it is very see-through. So I think I'll just take it off of here. I have to work with the pleats a little bit. This isn't the final set. Everything's just pinned on, not sewed on. But I am an awful sewist. I don't make mock things. Jenny, I've seen all the products she does. She makes a mock set out of muslin, and then she does the real one. And I just sort of go for it, and then usually by the time it's a full outfit, it's wear it on inside out, pin it till it fits, have someone cut you out of it, and then sew it back up. So we're going to try and not do that with this dress because this is a limited amount of fabric. But I'm starting to realize why she does that, and that maybe I should start that habit as well. So, next dress though. So yep, that's that. I have to do the pleats for the back of the skirt, and then I have to cut out some linen just to line it so it's not so Dance of the Seven Veils over here. Because this is an adult party. So that's our sewing. Do we have anything else to talk about fiber-related puzzle up? No. So on to the next section, which would be puppies. And Iron's giving me the dirty eye on the couch over there. We had a very exciting puppy weekend this past weekend because it was so warm out and I have dog hair in my eye that we were able to go to the beach. And it was Iron's first beach trip and Audrey's second or third or fourth or fifth. I used to take her to the beach all the time 2 years ago when we first moved down here because they allowed dogs on the beach between October and April, beginning of May maybe. And so I would take her down there and it was just so nice and wonderful that we were able to go on the beach and we can just run around and we can let the dogs off the leash and they can just gallivant in the mud and lick dead fish and all the gross stuff dogs love to do. So that was, super exciting. So Iron got to meet the ocean for the first time. I mean, it's only Long Island Sound, so it's not technically ocean, but I think he would have freaked out if it was actual waves. Every time a tiny little lake wave would hit the ground, he would jump 6 feet back. Audrey loved it. She went swimming a little bit. There was a ball, probably at knee depth for me. And so it was just out of her swimming comfort zone, but she would swim out to as far as she could and then realize it was too far and turn around and come back and prance on the beach and do it again. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I know, you're mad I'm only petting Audrey. Yeah. So I'll try and put a video in if I can. I haven't figured out editing that well yet. So that was our puppy weekend. I wanted to make, because the holidays are coming up and everyone's making cookies and cakes and breads for all the humans, a cranberry dog treat. And I bought the cranberries and I had the bread I wanted to make with it for us humans. And then I just didn't because work and crazy and me. So I have everything frozen and ready to go. I just have to physically make it. So I'm hoping I can do that as a blog post on an off week. So yeah, I will probably post something on Instagram about it, and then it will just be on onceuponacorgi.wordpress.com where the show notes are. And then what else happened in the past 2 weeks? Oh, we had the Yule Ball for the Society for Creative Anachronism that I made those weird sleeves for the last podcast, and I'll try and put a photo up of the finished gown because I did a Gryffindor themed Tudor gown and it turned out fantastic. There's little tweaks I would have done, shorten the bodice, fix the back clasp, got rid of that stupid French hood. But it was a lot of fun. There were I took a mead making class. My friend taught a black work embroidery class. We watched the fencing. No, we watched the heavy list fighters. I think they did German spear fighting. There was a feast, but we missed out on the feast because it was extra money. So we just went to Starbucks instead. It was so worth it. We just hung out, basically. I met a lovely woman who made a maple bacon mead that was delicious, and caramel apple mead that was also very delicious. And then I think that was it. We got our Christmas tree, and it's all decorated, and I tried to do the podcast in front of it, but my living room is so dark, and it's nighttime, and all we have is the one giant fluorescent awful attic light in the living room. So it was just terrible. The lighting was absolutely awful, so I wouldn't put you through that. But I will try and there will be photos, I'm sure, all over the internet of it, so definitely check my Instagram for that. Oh, are you tired? Yes, so we did that. I'm just checking. My show notes are down here. And they're all over the place. I try to be organized about it, but that never happened. I know, I hear you. So for shout out podcasts, I have to. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Iron's also mad that I put all my yarn on his bed under the table. I have started watching probably 3 or 4 new podcasts. Definitely the Sticks plus Twine podcast with Eric. Check him out. I'm excited to see his endeavors. And then in the Commuter Knitter group on Ravelry with the Tiny Paper Foxes, can you tell? I just sort of like stick to one podcast a week and then just like go nuts in their group. There's probably four or five major conversations that I started taking part in, and one of them I just clicked on the profile to check out what they were working on and noticed that she had a podcast. Alex, I believe her name is. If I'm mistaken, I'm terribly sorry. I just have your podcast written down. From the Mapping Charts podcast, and she's only 3 or 4 episodes in, but she's based out of New Jersey, and just a lot of commuter knitters. I'm definitely drawn to those because that's mostly when I knit. But she, yes. Now you made me lose my train of thought. But yeah, check her out. She's adorable. I love that every time she podcasts, she's got a new environment. So that's always fun to guess where she's going to be next. But that's not what our podcast is about. She loves transportation, which I think is fantastic because it's such an interesting field. It's not my field, but I can see why it would be such an intrigue. Shh. We good? We're good? Hey. The wind, the blue. Yeah, check her out. She's adorable. She's very sweet. I love the colors that she chooses. There's a lot of like pale pinks and purples from what I remember. And she's very conscious about what she knits. Like she was knitting hats, and then as she was knitting it, sort of seeing like, oh, this is great for a helmet. And she bike rides a lot. So I liked how that sort of poked into what she made and how she makes stuff. So definitely check her out. And then I have to learn a new language. Well, not new. I'm supposed to be kind of fluent in a language for school since I am trying to get my master's in art history. So I'm applying, and requirements are another language. And I took French in high school for 4 years and German for a year. So I'm trying to resurrect all my French knowledge. And I was watching the Yarngasm podcast with Kristen. If you can't tell, I just watch podcasts all day. So she's learning German just because she wants to. Might as well. I don't see why not. It's a fantastic language. And she listed that she was watching, like, what's on your face? Ninja Turtles in German. And she started watching or listening to a German knitting podcast. So I was like, hey, what better way to immerse yourself in the language than with something I'm already watching 8 to 10 hours a day of, because I just put them on in the background at work. So I found Douce Plume podcast. She does a French and English version, and I'll put all the links in the show notes. And she is, I want to say, based out of Paris. I'm not that good at the language yet, so most of this I don't get. I'm getting a lot of colors. I'm starting to get some of the verbs, so my reviews on these ones aren't going to be the most informative, but if you want to listen to a French podcast, gotcha. And the other one is Fille de Ver. I'll put the link in the show note. Girl of something, with something. Girl something. She's all in French. I don't think she's got any in English. But I do like her style choices. I think she sews as well, or she buys a piece and then knits based off of the clothing she buys. Couldn't tell you yet. I'll get back to you on that. So those are my podcast recommendation shoutouts, besides all the names that I've been dropping forever, because that's what I do. Yes, so that leads us into watching and reading. Watching Gilmore Girls. All day, every day. I love them. I realized that's why I started drinking coffee. That's who I want to be when I grow up. I watched it in high school, and my friend introduced it to me, and I was super band geek nerd, so I definitely aspired to be Rory. And then I did a weekend at Yale for an improv jazz orchestra symphony thing, and we just sort of geeked out about being Gilmore Girls a little bit. And I live in a small town in Connecticut, so the entire town of Stars Hollow is absolutely true 100 times over in every tiny town in Connecticut. So they released it on Netflix because they're coming out with a new season, and I'm so excited. Bubble up. She's never sit down for this long. So that's what I'm watching mostly. We finished Gotham. Oh, it was so good. We took a break from Supergirl just because of scheduling issues with the Titan. And then reading once again in the French. I got Audible because of Jeanette from the Bookish Stitcher podcast. She read a book called The Romanov Sisters, and I did not write the author down. And my library didn't have it, so I checked Audible. They had it for listening, so I signed up for the 30-day trial thing, and I got it. It was, I think, 8 hours long, and it was really interesting. I sort of got obsessed with the Romanov family when Anastasia came out in early 2000s, late 90s, because every time any historical anything came out, I would just research the Dickens out of it. So I did that with the Romanov sisters, and I learned as much as I could from them, besides like learning Russian and going to Russia because I was between 9 and 12. So there was a lot of stuff I didn't know, and it was super interesting. It was just really informative, and it wasn't like dry history kind of thing. Like I listened to a hardcore history podcast. They were really interesting, but it was very dry, hours long podcast. But this, I definitely could have listened to the whole thing in one go if I had the time, and still enjoyed every second of it. They went through their letters. It was more in depth with the family, like their social upbringing between Alexandra and Queen Victoria, and the girls' friends, they didn't really have too many friends, but they were court friends, what they did during the war, because from what I found when I first started researching them, it was just sort of like, we're here, we're dead. So I didn't know that they did so much in the war. I didn't know they had so many hospitals. It was just really interesting. So definitely check the audiobook out. I'll put a link in the show notes. And right now, I feel kind of stupid for not realizing this, but I just downloaded all of the free French or under $2 French books I could find. So a lot of it was just like random short stories that I have no idea what's it about. Couldn't tell you. And then I downloaded a book. It was 8 hours long, so I'm like, all right, we'll listen. It's in French. Picked up a couple things like, oh, let's go stay in his nice house. Would you like a drink? I would love a drink. How are you? I'll see you later. And I'm staring at the name, and I'm telling Jake about it, and then I realize I'm listening to Around the World in 80 Days. I just didn't know what the name of it was because it was in French, and I never sat down and studied what it was. So now that I'm listening to it, I know exactly what's happening. It's a little embarrassing, but I'm going to restart it. now that I know what it is, and listen to it and listen more intently to it, because I am starting to pick up more of the stuff. So for a while, a lot of the stuff I'm going to be listening or reading hopefully will be in French, because I do need to be at least reading fluent in the language for school. So yes, and I'm using Duolingo to go over the reading and the speaking and translating French lessons, which is super, super nice. It's on my phone, it's on my computer. I like it. You can do it in like quick 10-minute things, or you can spend all day on it. And I think that's it. This is a long episode. I rambled a lot. I wasn't going to record this weekend because I got so mad at myself for not recording when I planned on it, but I'm glad I did. Iron's digging under the Christmas tree, so I'm gonna go. Thank you for checking us out. Ooh, there is a Ravelry group now. There's only a couple threads. I didn't plan on it being a super in-depth, massive amounts of conversation kind of Ravelry group, just sort of a place to find some links, share some photos, that kind of thing, because there are so many groups and podcasts out there. I don't want to add to the craziness that is conversations, but if I do a giveaway, everything will be up there. So check us out. As of right now, it's mostly introductions and Corgi pictures. So if you definitely need some smiley faces or some fluffy butts, check out the first episode thread. Or no, the I have a say hello. I have an introductions thread. And you don't have to have a Corgi to join. We won't discriminate. It's fine. So I think that's it. Audrey's falling asleep over here, so I think that's our sign. I have an Etsy shop, uponacorgi.etsy.com, and I do have a coupon code. I'll put it in the down below here. It is Holiday, and it will get you 15% off between now and January 1st, I believe. So I have project bags and I have yarn. I'm not taking custom orders at the moment because I am planning on doing a big shop update in January. End of January. I have plans for kits to go ahead. I'm going to start test dyeing for that soon. I'm not hoping. I am going to do. He has a giant stick. It sounded like an ornament. Hi, pumpkin. Oh no, don't step on that. Don't step on that. I'm sorry. Come here. All right. We'll say goodbye with both the pups. So yeah, I am going to do high tea party themed kits and do teapot themed project bags and some vintage colored yarns. Are you stuck in my scarf? Yes. And progress keepers, so keep an eye on Instagram for those once they start forming more. Oh, thank you. So I'm just trying to empty shop right now to make room on my physical shelves to put all these project kits. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I will give you more information as I get them put together. Yeah, good. All right. With that, thank you for watching. Let me know if there's anything you want to see or anything I didn't cover. If you have any questions, shoot them over to the Ravelry or in the comments section. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Have a happy holidays. I know Hanukkah just ended, so if you celebrate Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas when it happens. And we will see you soon. Bye!